This week on the Hot Mess Teacher Express, we were talking all about teachers cussing in the classroom, professionalism, and Vinny does a nightmare morning announcement. So you're not going to want to miss this, so stay tuned. Welcome back for another week on the Hot Mess Teacher Express. And as always, I have my wonderful, amazing, I'm trying to get all of the adjectives out before you can say them about yourself, co-host Vinny.
Hi, my name is Vinnie Thomas, aka Mr. Thomas English, aka the most fabulous person on this program. It is nice to be here today.
We're so glad that you could make the time for us once again today, Vinny. Thank you.
Grace you with my British presence.
I feel so fulfilled in life now.
Today, we are moving on to a hot take. For those of you that do not know, hot takes is basically where we just pick a topic that we have found, probably most likely from Reddit or just TikTok, any social media really. We just like to have a little stalk around, see what's going on in the teacher
sphere.
Stir
the little pot.
Maybe see a little snark here or there. This week, we are going to be discussing teachers cussing in the classroom and online. So what are your thoughts on this, Jess?
Well, listen.
You're a rule follower, so I already know your opinion.
This is not, I don't know that this is like a hot take for me or anyone's surprised by this
You're
one.
Like, this is a very mild take.
It's this is the mild salsa of takes, okay? That I don't think that cussing in the classroom or online is appropriate because I don't know who the full audience is watching me online. It could be some of my former students. That's not the example that I want to set for them. And again, like I have never heard a teacher cuss in the classroom. And then
you were an elementary teacher, weren't you?
Oh, that's true. I mean, there were definitely a few 4-letter words said under my breath. A few days, but
I think if the pre-K teacher was like is going like, oh, F these kids,
yeah,
and
right.
F that, I think it would be A, B, C, D, E, F, U.
Yes. I mean, maybe. Okay. There are maybe days like that. Okay. But I don't think that it's ever appropriate to have like that kind of language in your classroom in general, even by students. Again, I taught in elementary school. I think I was called the B word once and I went home and cried.
By a 10-year-old.
By a 10-year-old. It was in the lunchroom and this student called me a B word. And I was so sad.
I feel like I would be too. Like, that's like, it's different when it comes from an angsty teenager, but when it comes from like one of your sweet little babies, you're like,
I am toast when my kids start to grow up. But yeah, so what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I'm like, I was trained in England and I feel like our level of professionalism is a little bit higher. And I just think for me, it's like, there are certain things in this world that are taboo. And I feel like cussing in the classroom is definitely like up there. Like to me, that is something that I'm like, I don't think it's saying that we should be like, as a society, we should move because we should really just be able to cuss in our classrooms and cuss kids out in our classrooms. Because I'm like, I feel like that's a very dangerous, slippery slope. The only times I would ever cuss in my classroom is if a student cussed and I had to call them out for their cussing. And they were like, I didn't cuss. No, I didn't cuss, man. I'm like, yeah, you just said the B word. And then I would literally repeat it and then be like, oh, you just cussed. I'm like, yeah, it's really inappropriate, isn't it? Did that make you feel uncomfortable? And they're like, yeah, that made me feel really uncomfortable that you just repeated the same word that I just said. And I'm like, and that's how I feel. Because if someone came into my classroom and you're going around saying, you're a B, you're a B, you're a B, I'm like, I'm the one that's the B because I'm going to get fired. So can you please stop?
So like in general, and I'm asking this as an elementary teacher who literally got called the B word once and destroyed. But do high schoolers cuss a lot in class?
Yes.
And that's like normal?
Yeah.
Okay.
So And this is the thing. It goes into that whole, like, you know, oh, well, if students cussing in your class, then clearly you're not a good teacher because you don't have firm expectations. And it's like, no, this student cusses wherever they are. This is their language. Like, I remember being a teenager and I would cuss every other word. I'm an adult and off camera, I cuss every other word.
You do.
Like, it is what it is. But it's like, it's a matter of having that filter. And that's like, I remember I had one student that literally would just cuss every other word. He'd be like, oh, I need to go down to my effing truck and get this effing thing and be this and be that, and literally just like cuss. And he was sat right next to me and I was like, can you just shut up for 5 minutes and just listen to what you just said right there? And he's like, why? What did I say? And I literally repeated the whole sentence complete with every single cuss word and was like, do you see how unintelligent you sound? Because the cussing that you didn't even make sense. You were just inserting a cuss word in every other word for no reason.
Right.
And I'm like, you know, cussing, if used appropriately, emphasizes the sentence. And, you know, in the right setting, that's appropriate. But this is not the right setting. Because if you went for a job interview and you were like, yeah, I just effing want this job because I need an effing paycheck because, you know, I wouldn't mind working for you B words. Like, you know, it's like, you know, that's
You're hired.
You got the job.
Yeah, might work for a teacher shortage, but not
Love
here.
your honesty. So yeah, like, and I said to him, I was like, so do you even realize how much you just cussed in that sentence now that I'm repeating it to you?
Right.
And he like paused for a moment and was like, no, you're right. Like, I never even realized like how much I was actually cussing. Because rather than me, like, and this is the thing, I feel like back when I was a teacher, I was very much like, any lesson that I'm trying to teach when it's not like on the curriculum and it's like, teach as a student, this is my advice. This is not me like slamming the hammer down being like, you need to do this. This is me telling you as an adult, you know, that has matured and has gone through that phase of like, oh, I'm cussing because people don't like cussing and I want to be a rebel and I want to do all this stuff. I was just like, this is what is happening. And then it's like, I even said to him after, because he was like, yeah, I never thought about it like that. I was like, you know, when I leave this classroom, as soon as that door closes behind you, like, I'm on my phone, I'm cussing, like, I'm texting, I'm cussing in my text, like, but it's a matter of you need to be able to adjust who you are based on your environment.
Right.
Because, you know, some people are like, why do I have to change like my personality based on where I am? But it's like everyone has a different personality based on the setting they're in.
Right.
Like, I'm a different person with my parents, to my friends, to when I'm online, to when I'm like at a professional job interview or fair or anything like that. Like, you need to be able to identify that as a person, you need to adjust to your surroundings.
Right.
And I feel like that's an important skill where it's like, if you're just getting told, you need to stop cussing, instead of like having that relatability of, I cuss, and they're like, what?
Yeah.
You're a teacher, you don't cuss.
Well,
you just stay at the school and you just live here like a little hobbit.
Well, it's also that thing of just being socially aware of other people. Like, the F word means different like levels of like severity to different people. Like, I grew up in a home that I have never heard a swear in my life.
I'm the opposite. I grew up
I know. And then I met Vinnie and I was like, oh my gosh, no, I'm just kidding.
I grew up in a household where it was like, eat your effing dinner. And I'm like, oh God.
So like the F word means different things to different people, and just like it's
and I feel like it's definitely like, it's also a cultural thing, because I feel like cussing in America is so much more frowned upon. Like,
absolutely
flashy way to what it is in England. Because in England, like, everyone I know cusses, like, and there's certain cuss words in England that are not seen as nearly as offensive in England as there are here.
So I remember watching Love Island, the UK version, for the first time, and being like, oh my gosh, these people swear all the time.
And that's the thing. So then you like come in, and
this is becoming American versus British.
Well, and I don't know if it's an accent thing either, because it's like, I'm the same. Like, or when I was teaching in American school, and like, I remember being like subbing in a school and just hearing like these American teenagers just walking about and just cussing, and I was like, the way they cuss just offends me. Like, it does not sound right. Like, they're like cussing, but like
as he sips his tea,
like the way they were cussing was just like, you're just cussing for the sake of cussing. You're just throwing like cuss words out into the void, and it makes no sense. I'm like, versus like a tasteful cuss. Like, I feel like when you're a Brit and you're cussing, it's like, oh, I could really effing do with a cup of tea. Like, it sounds so much better than like F you, F this, F that.
It does. I'm not gonna lie, it does. It does.
And then that then leads on to our next topic, because we've done classroom. What about online? What are your viewpoints online? I feel like I already know.
No, it's a no.
Yeah.
It's a no. Even on like the comedy tour, I was like, my set has no swear words in it because that's just like who I am. I don't.
I'm like, my comedy set has like a few cuss words.
Yes.
Because like to me, it comes back to that like adapting your personality based on where you are.
Right.
And I'm like, if we're in a comedy club, it's an 18+ event.
Right.
There are people definitely drinking, like, because you're in like a comedy club venue, whatever. And it's like past a certain hour. I'm like, to me, it's like.
It's swear time.
Yeah, to me,
Let's
I'm
go.
like, it's like the staff room, when the door closes, the students go out, and then you're like, okay, time to unfilter myself. So I need to cleanse
Take my
myself.
cloak off.
It's like confession. You just need to absolutely like spur everything out into the void. And then you go back and you're like, right, now I can I can reclaim myself.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I feel like online, I think it's like anything. It's unfortunate, but I feel like the worst thing you do online is the thing that, if you ever get in trouble, if you ever have a parent that doesn't like you, a student doesn't like you, admin that doesn't like you, that's the first thing they're going to give.
Yeah, and it's there forever.
Yeah, it's like as soon as you see like the headline, it's going to be like a vile cussing teacher goes viral for this. That's what it is because it's sensationalized. It's very much in a way that, like teachers are the scapegoats of society. It sucks, but it's true.
Yeah.
And as soon as like teachers do anything that can be seen and a really negative way, they're going to use that.
Right.
So for me, I'm always like, don't cuss in your videos to protect yourself because that is what they will grab to and that's what they will use against you.
Absolutely.
And yeah,
so
it's
just keep it clean, peeps. Just that's all. Just know who you're talking to, I guess.
Yeah, and obviously if you do feel the need to do it, maybe not every single video, maybe do it like, just here or there, but
just sprinkle it in.
But just bear in mind,
and maybe do it with an English accent as well.
And just bear in mind, what you put out there on the internet is there, and even if you delete it, remove it, private it, there is always someone that can save that and use it against you. So
America versus British. This is where we take a topic in education and compare and contrast American versus British. We are going to be talking about professionalism in America versus the UK. We kind of touched on it with this hot take, but yeah, go ahead.
In the UK as a whole, I noticed that it is a lot more of a thing than it is here. Like professionalism in England, especially in schools, is like some of the strictest professionalism. It's very much seen in a way as, you're a teacher, you're the example, and you need to have really high expectations because those expectations need to then flow down into your students. So it's like, I understand in that respect, and in terms of like behavior management and like the operations of schools, I do think there are some aspects of it that work, but I think on the receiving end, as someone that almost failed their teacher training because of, quote, unprofessionalism, it was very intense because how it works is when you're being assessed in England, you have like, I think it's like 9 different boxes of units that you have to like check off when they're assessing you. And one of those is, I think it was number 8, professionalism. It may have changed to a different number. I did train like 3 years ago. Maybe even 5 now. Oh my gosh, I'm getting old. So it was very much, there was one like section that was professionalism. And I went into my first like teacher training program. And from the get-go, my like assistant principal did not like me. I remember I went to a meeting and he was like, oh, bring a resource. And he did it where all of our teacher trainers were there and he went round, he was like, right, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I was the 4th one. So I went to the meeting and I had my resource where it was in my binder and he was going round. So I was like, oh, it's fine. I'll wait to get mine out. And then he switched and was like, actually, we're going to mix it up. We're going to start with you, Vinny, instead, after like putting me last. So like, I was flustered because I was like, oh, I don't have it on me. It's in my binder because I thought I was last. So then I go to get it, but then I'm like on the spot. So then I flustered because I was like a new teacher. And because I didn't have it, he like literally was just like, nope, you clearly don't have it. Cut me off like in the middle of a meeting. And I was like, this feels very awkward to me. Like it just made me feel so uncomfortable.
Oh no.
And then flash forward to a week later, the same guy comes into, it's like the end of the day. I'm in like a team meeting for my department. Same guy comes in, pulls me into like a side like room, like a little closet, and basically tells me, lists everything, says like, oh, I just really feel like you're not doing a good job here. You know, other people have said that you're very rude, you're dismissive, you don't ask enough questions when you're observing other teachers, like you don't work enough to build good relationships with the students. This was a week into my first placement.
Oh.
And then even went as far to say, oh, and by the way, your trousers are too fitted. There's been people commenting that you wear too tight trousers. Like all of this just like, I was like in shock, like what? All of this was, and it felt very like targeted.
Yeah.
It felt very much like you have clearly identified a problem with me. I don't know if it's me, my personality, anything. It felt very like.
Under the skies of professionalism.
It felt very like biased.
Yeah.
And like I had to even report it to my university. I had to document the whole thing. It was like one of the most, it sounds bad, but I have trauma from that experience. Like even when I was teaching years later, whenever I would have an observation, I would literally have nightmares about that placement.
Yeah.
And yeah, the whole thing was masked under professionalism. So from that point moving forward, they were like, you know, you're doing this, you're planning lessons, you're learning the curriculum, you're doing all this, but your professionalism, like, and that's what it would be. So I had to go in every single day and basically like kiss butt and like work above and beyond to like ask all these questions, do everything. And literally the whole time I felt like I was on 120% burning myself out.
Yeah.
Not even for the actual job of being a teacher, but just for the wider sphere of how am I perceived by everyone on the outside. And it's like, I've noticed that, like, a lot of my friends that were also on a similar training program that teach in England, the amount of pressure that they've also encountered with this sphere of professionalism, very detrimental to their ability to be able to teach. And like, I know for a fact, like, it bled into like I went to my second placement and like my like mentor was like it was complete polar opposite.
Right.
And like I have a personality and I like to joke and laugh and stuff. So it's like at that first placement I was just like a shell of a person, wouldn't speak. Like my mentor came in to observe me and was like, you're not you. Like you literally look like you are a shell of yourself. Like you are so like you are in yourself. You don't joke, you don't laugh. Like so then I went to my second placement and was the same because I was like I need to be professional because I do not want to encounter that same level of bias again.
Yeah.
And my mentor was just like, I don't get it. Like, I do not understand as a mentor how anyone can say you're unprofessional because everything I say...
So it's totally different.
Yeah, completely different. And like, so I went from my first teacher placement, because you have 2 in England, the whole time, you're going to fail because of professionalism, you're going to fail because of this, to suddenly going into the next placement and all of the things that were issues in the first one weren't even an issue. They were like, professionalism isn't even on our... Like, we're not even looking at that. That is not even something you need to worry about.
So put on your tight trousers and come on over.
Like, they're very much like, we're more concerned about, like, you know, your confidence in being able to teach. Because you have clearly got trauma from your last placement because of how badly they judged you through their own bias and through whatever. And yeah, I just think... It goes with that thing where professionalism in England is such a wide scope that it's completely based on your admin and who you're surrounding yourself by.
Right. And that's, I mean, like, that's kind of the same in America too. But like, I feel like starting out, I don't feel like there's a lot of pressure to be, you know, like wear the right thing or like say the right things. It's just more like, are you here? Cool. Like kind of jump in. And like professionalism here, I remember wearing like pencil skirts and heels every single day. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? It was awful. No one else was doing it. Like, so the idea of like looking professional was very much a part of what I felt like I needed to do to be taken seriously. But then I was like being thrown into these situations, like going into IEP meetings, literally having no idea that I could ask questions or ask for like support for my students, because I had no idea what I was doing, but I looked professional. So would you rather have someone who looks professional or someone who you train to be like a confident professional? Yeah,
and I feel like in America especially, like, and this is what I noticed, I think it directly correlates with like the training teacher programs here.
Oh, absolutely.
Into your new teacher induction. Because it's like, I know for a fact, like, I had it where the first district I worked in, they had a new teacher induction, but that new teacher induction was just you have a cognitive coach that meets with you once, like, I think twice, 3 times a year.
Yeah.
That just comes in, observes you, gives you feedback. And then you have like new teacher induction trainings where it's like you go to this with all these other new teachers. They give you a training that you're never going to use.
Yeah.
And has no relevance.
Right.
You know, you're a teacher trainer where you have someone in the classroom with you at all times. And it's usually you're just teaching that one teacher's class. Just suddenly it's like, oh no, you're on your own. You're teaching multiple classes, multiple preps. And yeah, you're now an adult. Good luck.
Right.
And it's like, I feel like that's what it is because there's not really... I don't think there's a stable transition here from being a training teacher to an actual teacher.
Right. You kind of see that on, you know, like, especially like teachers online these days, like brand new teachers online. There's almost like professionalism for me is acting like a professional and someone who people like your students look up to.
Yeah.
And a lot of times these teachers who are putting on like online TikToks or like filming TikToks in their classroom or like trying to be cool with their students while filming a TikTok in their classroom. Like, that's just not professional to me.
Yeah.
That's not what you're there to do.
Again, it comes into like the culture. I feel like as a Brit, I know for a fact that like the English especially are like seen as a way of like, you know, you get up, you get dressed in your suit because I used to teach in a suit as well. So it's very much like the vibe.
Yeah.
Versus here, it's like, oh yeah, you can wear some like chino pants and you can wear like a zipper.
Oh
like,
man, I wore a long sweater and leggings.
yeah,
like,
and
it was
then like,
fine. Yeah.
you know, like college tea Friday with your jeans and stuff. So it's
My
like...
jeans.
So it's like, it's things like that I think it's also part of like the culture of it. Like, you know, like America as a whole, it's very much like, you know, freedom and the ability to like share your own opinion, your own like.
And I feel like that shift going into professional work environments, like you need to let me be me.
I just feel like it bleeds into that where I think like when someone's observing like a teacher, professionalism as a whole here is literally like, it's only really if you're doing like a bunch of really dangerous stuff that can get you or the school sued that they're like, no, you are unprofessional, you need to get out. Or like, you know, someone's like cussing out admin in like all staff emails or in meetings or like just not showing up. It's really severe unprofessional behavior that is more identified here versus if you show up and do your job, it's usually other things that they'll like, if they're going to target you, they're going to target you things for like, you know, behavior management, curriculum, stuff like that. It's not, oh, we just don't think you're professional enough. It's whereas,
So did America kind of like win that one?
I think a balance between the two. Because I feel like it also bleeds into, I think there are some expectations in school cultures in America that I think are a direct correlation of certain levels of expectation.
I'll take this win, okay?
Right, yeah.
I'll take this, let freedom ring.
Just slightly. Okay, so next up we have our hot or not. This is the part of the podcast where we go over different topics and we identify whether they're hot, which means that they're good, or not, which means they're not good. Our first topic for hot or not is when a student says what you're thinking.
I love it when that happens. I really do. Because a lot of times I can't say what I'm thinking, but there's just someone munching on some Fritos and it's really annoying. And you can't say like, you are being so annoying right now. Put the Fritos away. Like, no, you got someone next to them being like, could you stop chewing like a cow? You're like, we could have put that better, but why don't you put your chips away?
My favorite story of like a student calling out another student was I had this kid, right? And he like would fart like every lesson.
Oh
like,
my gosh.
And this is the thing. I'm like, you know, it happened. You know, silent but deadly. I don't appreciate it, but at least you're not distracting everyone until the smell lingers and then we're all coughing for our lives.
Gasping for breath. Yeah.
My favorite like Americanism is Dutch oven. Like you Dutch ovened me. I'm like, I didn't even know that was a thing. Or crop dusting. I mean,
Oh, you love a good crop dust.
The Americans love a nice like little farting like pun. So I had this student that would like fart all the time and I was just like, whatever, just ignore it. It's fine. They're a freshman. Hopefully they'll grow up one day. I don't know. And literally at one point this guy got both of his legs, put them on the desk. put them on the desk,
No.
and prise his butt cheeks apart and let out the loudest fart I have ever heard in my life.
Vinny.
And then laughed violently. And I was like, this is the most grotesque thing I have ever witnessed.
This is the American dream teaching
I'm like,
you.
this is the professionalism to a T in this country. He might as well be my manager right now. And literally, a student literally in front of him, like before the students had like laughed, whatever. But this girl turned around and was like, why are you laughing? That is the most repulsive thing I've ever seen. You are gross beyond belief.
Yes.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Yes.
I do not want to smell the inners of your butthole. Can you please excuse yourself if you're going to continue with this? So I was just sat there and I was like, you got this, okay?
Clock out for a second. You've handled this disgusting
I
human.
love it, like when students are just like, when everyone's being rowdy and they just turn around and they're just like, y'all need to shut up. You're just so annoying. I'm just like, yeah,
hot.
I love it. I think it's so like, it's a hot for me whenever students just say exactly what you're thinking.
You can read your teachers pretty well. If you feel like your teacher is being annoyed and you feel like saying something, say it. See what happens. Your teacher probably will be very thankful.
And it'll make them laugh.
And it'll make us... that too, yes.
And I need that.
Yes.
So our next topic for Hot or Not this week is morning announcements. I think morning announcements in elementary schools are vile beyond, but like made me gag.
I worked in a school that did not have crazy morning announcements. It was always, because I worked in a K through 8 school, so they would always have an 8th grader come down and do the morning announcements and say what was for lunch that day. And it was probably the most boring thing I've ever listened to in my life.
Oh.
Because an 8th grader cannot put any inflection in their voice at all to put some sort of excitement in it. If I had been doing the morning announcements, it would have been way different. But this 8th grader was like, today we have... And all of my 5th graders were like, what did he say? What's for lunch? What? No. So I didn't have like great morning announcements. I would love a little pep. Like boring morning announcements is a not for me.
I have different tiers. I remember there was this one school that I used to sub at, and this is how they started every morning announcements. And if you're not from America, I don't know. I know for a fact England does not have like this speaker system in schools where everyone announces crap.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, if you are not from America and you have never heard this is the most enlightening thing of this. I would go to a school and this is how they would start their morning announcements at an elementary school. Good morning, friends. Here at Beaver High, we are going Go Beavers, and we're going to be doing this today. Our special for today is crap on a stick, and we're just so excited. And that would literally be, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I've got a migraine from that good morning. Can you shut up? That is the most accurate representation of it. I crap you not. When I do impressions of the morning announcements on my videos, that is what it is based off. That happened. And there are probably people listening to this right now being like, yeah, every morning. It's just...
I would love some pep in a morning announcement.
And then but then I had another one where it was like an older fella, and it was like the most archaic system where he'd be like, oh, no, I've lost the signal. Oh, and I'd just be like, can you please shut up with this as well? And then, or you'd get like, you know, the friends that get told to do it, and they're like, hey, Tracy, move over today. And you'd be like, can an adult get in that room and shut them up as well? Like, I would have it where in my, like, high school classroom, I figured out how to turn the sound system off. And, like, literally, my students would come in and they would literally, like, everyone would be setting up shop, like, getting ready for the lesson. And then they would just see me pull, like, a desk over and a chair. And I would be there, like, literally, my hand to the ceiling. And they'd be like, Mr. Chalmers, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm turning this crap off. I can't bear it anymore. I'm like, it is not that important. If it was, they'd send me an email.
I was gonna say, I feel like morning announcements can be sent via email, and you can put on the show to what you need to do. But yeah, wow. The way that you described it sounds
And it would always
horrifying.
be, as soon as every student's in their chair, as soon as you are like, right, I'm about to take
Yes.
attendance, and like, you know, you're a sub,
Yes.
you have to go over the expectations, the lesson, do attendance.
Right.
You're like, okay, is Jenny a good? Like literally midway through it, and you're like, you know what, screw it, everyone's here today, I don't care anymore.
That like being interrupted by announcements is the fastest way to make me just not even try for the first hour.
So yeah, morning announcements are a not from me, in case you didn't know.
Obviously. Good. At Beaver High.
It's like Beaver High,
Go Beavers.
home of the Beavers. Go Beavers, keep on beavering.
So this next segment is Grind My Gears. This is where Vinny and I get to rant for 30 seconds about something that really, really annoys us. You can also join along. You can choose your own topic and just yell at the bathroom mirror, at like in a closet, into a pillow. I don't know, wherever you need. Just let it out. Let it out. Do you want to go first?
I can. I
feel like you're on feel like you're on a roll here. So let's just keep going with you. All right, Vinny, your topic today is when older generations ignore their trauma.
I would like to know how, at the age of 29, I am more mature than all of my parents, grandparents, everyone that's older than me. At the end of the day, we are not in the 90s anymore, where this is 2023, and you clearly have issues from your own childhood that you are now bleeding into your adulthood and into my adulthood, and I've had enough of it. Why am I able to seek therapy when I'm feeling anxious or depressed, but to you that is still a taboo subject, even though as a society we are progressing, we are trying to take care of ourselves, and you are still keeping those same morals from before? Why are you judging me based on, oh, are you married? Are you having kids yet? What do you weigh? No.
Wow. It's beautiful.
I feel very passionate about
You
this.
keep going.
I feel very, like, to me, I'm just like, you know, own your crap. If, like, you know, we all go through stuff. We all have our own, like, issues, fights we're dealing with. But I feel like it's definitely a thing that I notice with all my friends whenever we're speaking about, like, our parents' generation.
Yeah.
It's very much like, and I see it, like, with all my friends and everything of, like, oh, well, my dad doesn't say this. My dad doesn't know how to, like, be emotional with me, or, like, my mum doesn't. And I'm just like, take care of yourself. Like, because, and then it's like, they're like, why am I getting cut off by my kids? I don't know. Maybe because you're awful. Like,
There it is.
like my main viewpoint when I look at this is the grandma from Encanto. That's the one. That's what I picture in my mind. I'm like, it's that where you're like, you need to own your stuff instead of injecting that and cycling the trauma through and
when
through.
someone says there's no villain in Encanto, yes, there is. It's called family trauma.
The one holding the candle at the back. She has a banging voice, though, I will say.
She
has the
does.
most heavenly, soothing voice. I'm like, oh, it's a contrast. Hate her, love the voice. Okay, so Jess, are you ready?
No.
I feel like I barely scraped the surface on my one.
You did. I feel like that's a deep grind the gears there.
Your grind the gears for today is washing your face and the water runs down your arms.
When I am washing my face, it's normally when I'm getting ready for bed, which means I'm in my like cozy, nice pajamas already. And I'm going to wash my face like a responsible adult woman. So I'm washing my face and I am, you know, this is not a Neutrogena commercial. I feel lied to as a child because when they wash their face, splash them, like there's no water anywhere. And when I do it, it's like a tsunami happened in my bathroom and then down my arms. And now my pajamas are all wet, but I'm going to bed with wet pajamas now. So then I have to put on new pajamas. Like this is a lot.
Were they 30 seconds? I feel like they were only 15.
They're 30. Remember we went over, you thought it was 60 yesterday.
I feel like
and
it was
now,
so short today. Maybe we just
well,
thought a little
because
more
you talked
angry.
about family trauma.
I know, try fitting that in 30 seconds. I'm fitting it into 29 years. This now moves us on to our final segment of today's show. It's underdogs in education. So today we are highlighting veteran teachers.
Veteran teachers, there are really, really good veteran teachers out there that are sticking with the teaching profession and still showing up and doing their best after 10, 15, 20, 30 years. So, I mean, bravo to the veteran teachers that are staying consistent in their classrooms and being there for their students, and for the younger teachers coming in too. So thank you. If you are doing the good work, keep it up.
I feel like veteran teachers get a bad rep, especially when it comes to things like technology. Like when you look at how much like education as a whole has technologically advanced, you know, with things like the online, with like the pandemic, all of that, and the amount of stuff that has had to have been learned by veteran teachers.
True. That is so
and,
true.
Like,
yeah.
I feel like they have a bad rep where it's very much a thing where like the younger teachers like roll their eyes and like, oh, someone can't work PowerPoint, like, and it is like, but they've been in this classroom for X amount of years. They've had to learn all these different systems.
Yeah.
Every crap along the way, they have had to learn how to do and process. And, you know, it's also that thing of where they're veteran teachers, like they're expected to know more, do more. And it's like very much like they've got their reputation that they need to uphold in that. And I feel like there is a lot of stigma. I honestly feel like, you know, it's that thing where anyone that's able to survive in education for multiple years, like honestly deserves all the praise in the world. Like they're stronger than I am, that's for sure. They definitely deserve a round of applause because, you know, the fact that you're just able to continue to show up, do your job and work through all of this that you've been through, especially over the last few years. I'm just like, just know that you are appreciated and that, we hope.
If you have a good veteran teacher in your school, please tell them how much you appreciate them at some point this week, because I think that would mean a lot.
And please don't be scared of them and say hello. Like,
and if they ask for help with Google Classroom, just help them. It's fine. They're trying. They're trying. Wow. What wowie. I feel like we're on a speed train today. That was
it's almost like I only woke up an hour ago.
You poor little sleeping beauty. All right, that is our episode for this week. Thank you for riding along on the Hot Mess Teacher Express. And anything else? Any final words?
Have a nice week, a nice month, nice day, and I'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.